then is our preaching vain.
Come on.
And your faith is also vain. Jesus' resurrection was physical. Sit down. Jesus' resurrection was physical. The resurrection of Jesus is so important that without it, Christianity is false.
All right.
Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15 and 14 verse, and if Christ has not been risen, then our preaching is vain. Amen. Your faith also is vain. These verses later in verse 17, he again say, if Christ has not been risen, your faith is worthless. You are still in your sin. If Christ had never rose from the dead, we would still be in sin. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing? Everybody killing one another. Everybody with diseases and sickness. Never, no cure.
Amen.
You ever stop to think about if Christ hasn't risen from the dead, what shape this world will be in? You need to stop and think about it.
Amen.
You are still sleeping with the deacons, pastors, and are still sleeping with the saints. You are still fornicating and indulging in sin. There are many subjects with many Christians may disagree and still be considered Christians. A lot of you may disagree with what I'm saying and still think you're Christians. This is not one of them. To deny the resurrection of Jesus is to deny the heart of Christianity itself.
My Lord.
However, the problem in the resurrection isn't so much in agreeing that Jesus rose, but in how he rose.
All right.
Cults attack the resurrection of Christ and interpret it in different ways, thereby denying his physical resurrection. We must ask, if Jesus rose from the dead in the very same body he died, or did he rise in a spirit body that was in the flesh and bones? Here is the correct doctrine, Christ's resurrection. I considered it so important that it must be set up by himself as a statement of truth. Jesus rose from the dead in the same physical body in which he died.
All right.
The resurrected physical body was a body, a spiritual body. The spiritual body is not merely spirit. The spiritual body is the resurrected, glorified physical body. After the resurrection, Jesus was able to eat. Luke 24, 42 and 43 verses. He showed his hands and feet with the nail prints in them. Luke 24 and 39.
My Lord.
John 20 and 27. And people even grabbed his feet and worshipped him. St. Matthew 28 and 9. As the report of Jesus' resurrection was spreaded, Thomas, who was doubting the resurrection of Christ, like some of you are doubting today, unless I shall see his hands, the imprint of the nails, put my finger into the place of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe. John 20 and 25. We have doubting Thomas today. Later, Jesus appeared to Thomas and said unto him, reach here your finger and see my hands, and reach here your hand and put it into my side, and be not unbeliever but believing. 1 John 20 and 27. Somebody get it for me. 1 John 20 and 27. A lot of times we hear the preachers preach, teachers teach, And we don't want to believe anything unless it's visible to the eye. St. John 20.
Got you, Bishop. 20 and 27.
Mm-hmm.
Then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands. And reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side. And be not faithless, but believing.
Be not faithless, but believing. Thomas had to go and touch him. Thomas had to see the handprints. Thomas had to stick his hand in his side. But how many today believes, hallelujah, without touching? How many today believes without seeing the handprints?
Amen.
Hallelujah, that's where faith come in. Because faith without work is dead. How much, hallelujah, does it take for you to believe on God? Hallelujah. Does he always have to come down here and walk the earth for 33 years for you to believe? Hallelujah. Does he have to heal your body and raise Lazarus from the dead before you believe? Hallelujah. Or do you wake up in the morning, hallelujah, realize that the alarm clock didn't wake you up? Hallelujah. Do you realize, hallelujah, that your mother and father didn't wake you up? Hallelujah. That God allowed you, hallelujah, to rise up out of your bed. He allowed you, hallelujah, to look on your loved ones, hallelujah, and say good morning. Hallelujah. You ought to be grateful that God rose from the dead. You ought to be grateful that God stood in the stead for you. He stood in the gap for you. You ought to be glad, hallelujah, this morning that God took your sins away, brought you out of bondage, brought you out of prison, hallelujah. You ought to be glad today. You may not be behind bars, but this life is a prison. Life is hard. It's hard living this life. It's hard paying your bills. It's hard making ends meet. It's hard holding on to a dollar. You got so much to be grateful for that you take advantage of. Hallelujah. You ought to thank God for seeing one more day. One more day. My husband is dead and gone, and he was a good man. But thanks be to God, I'm still here. And he told me to preach. Don't let nobody stop me. He said, but you keep on preaching. If Jesus' body had not risen, then he would not have feet and hands with the same holes of the nails of the crucifixion. Considering the following verses as further proof that his very body was risen from the dead. Hallelujah. He was whooped all night long. He had a crown of thorns, but that didn't stop him from coming off of that cross. That didn't stop him. Hallelujah. They took his body and they